Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Gemma Darling Mailroom. I'm pretty sure that you know I'm Danielle, and so I'm not going to go through the whole spiel of introducing myself, but I do want to say thank you to everyone who has commented in my GemmaDarlingDaily Ravelry group. I'm going to try and answer all of your questions and try to keep the episode lighthearted and not boring, so let's get started. Let's see how good I do. I didn't take notes like I did last week, just because I didn't have time. So I have my iPad right in front of me here, and I'm going to just read them quickly and answer the questions to the best of my ability. Okay, so the first post comes from... so professional. The first post of this week is from Sandy. She asks, when did you learn to knit? What are your favorite things to knit? What's the best thing about doing your own podcast? And that's it. Well, let's see. First of all, hi Sandy. Thanks for your questions. When did I learn to knit? I learned to knit when I was about 20 years old. I had the most wonderful grandmother in the world. Her name was Mima. That's what I called her. She was my mother's mother, and she was super crafty. She made my mother all of these beautiful dresses in the 60s. You know, like those cute little dresses like Twiggy would wear. Like, they would buy gorgeous fabrics because my grandfather worked in the garment district in Jersey City. It was the embroidery capital back then. It may still be. And he used to bring home these beautiful fabrics, and they would go into the city and buy just gorgeous things to make dresses with. So she taught me how to sew when I was really little, and I wish I had asked her to teach me with a machine. She taught me how to hand sew, and I would just make little things. So she was always teaching me how to do something with my hands. But when I was about 20 years old, 19 or 20, my friends from college, they were occupational therapy majors, and they had to learn how to knit to teach their elderly patients how to knit because it was really good for their hands and good for their brain. So we all started crocheting, just all of us in our suite. We would just sit there and crochet, and you know, we would just make squares because we didn't have a lot of yarn and we didn't know what we were doing. I didn't know how to choose a hook, you know, how a hook would go with certain yarns to make certain fabric. I had no idea. We would just sit there and just hook. So I came home for Easter one year. It was like Easter, Passover. I like to call it Eastover. And I asked my grandmother to teach me how to knit because she made these really big sweater coats one year with these billowy sleeves that were cinched in the middle. I wish we still had them. And so I asked her to sit down and teach me how to knit, and she was a lefty, so unfortunately she taught me to knit like through the back loop, and I was doing all these twisted ribs, and I really could only make scarves, so we would all make scarves for each other, and then my sister would take some because she couldn't knit, but she wanted them, so I have a bazillion scarves. But, you know, unfortunately she passed away in 2006. I was 25 years old, and I miss her every single day. But, you know, when we were cleaning out her house, my sister handed me her knitting, and this is it. And I keep it right next to me, and it still smells like her house. Do you guys remember what your grandmother's houses smelled like when you were little? Yeah. Now I'm gonna cry. But, it just... I wasn't a good enough knitter back then. My sister said, why don't you take it and finish it? And she was holding two skeins together, and she was just making scarves because she didn't really ever, she never did anything that would give her like anxiety or worry. She just wanted to watch TV and knit, and she didn't care what she was making, so she would just make beautiful scarves, and that made her happy. She would also paint her nails and take it off, and then paint her nails again and then take it off. So I would always bring her nail polishes. But she was a wonderful lady, and you're going to hear me talk about her a lot, but I do credit her with teaching me how to knit. Years later, you know, I watched YouTube, and my mom taught herself how to knit, and I taught myself how to knit correctly. But I still credit my grandmother with teaching me how to knit. Thanks, Mima. Let's see, what are my favorite things to knit? I don't have a favorite thing to knit. Sometimes I'm in the mood to knit a shawl. Sometimes I'm in the mood to knit a sweater. I usually have different projects on my needles, probably about 4 or 5 at the same time. 2 will probably get finished, the other 3 will just get like abandoned, but usually they're all different weights of yarns. So I'll have like a fingering weight sweater and a chunky scarf, and you know, just they're always different weights. So, you know, I pretty much pick up my knitting not based on what I feel like knitting, but based on what weight I feel like knitting, because sometimes you're okay with knitting fingering weight, like you feel like sitting there with your glasses on and, you know, going to town on like a shawl that really needs concentration. And, you know, sometimes you just want to stitch while you're watching TV and you don't want to think about it. So a nice chunky yarn, perfect for that, right? So yeah, I don't really have favorite things to knit. I do sometimes knit something simple in the middle of knitting something complicated. So I made my husband a hat while I was knitting my oracle, because sometimes you just need to put down the complicated project and knit something simple. So I hope that answers your question. And what is the best thing about doing my own podcast? I'd say it's just making your own rules. I think when you're doing a podcast with someone else, you have to compromise, and that just comes with the territory. And the last podcast that I did with someone else, you know, it was not my store, so I didn't make the rules, and I signed on for that, and that was perfectly fine with me. But you know, now I'm back in my own workshop, and it's really nice to be able to just plan the podcast that I want to show you, and to show you what I'm making and what I've bought at all different stores, and you know, what's going on in my life. So I think that's nice. You know, there are pros and cons to doing podcasts with someone else and doing them by yourself. So it's just a different experience. And I hope to have some guests on my podcast here and there. I hope to have some knitting parties this summer that I'm going to cover, and I hope that you enjoy my vlogs, because I do like to cover just my everyday life. So, Jana Zet, I don't know if that is your name, so I'm sorry, but you didn't sign it. Some people sign it, some people don't. That is her Ravelry name, Jana Zet. She wants to know, let's see, she's planning a road trip from Georgia via Memphis and wants to know, to New York, and wants to know some yarn shops to hit on the way. I wish I could answer that for you in a more in-depth manner. I don't know too many yarn shops on the way up. Let's see. If you're going to be in New York City, I don't know New York City versus New York State. I love in New York City, I love Pearl Soho. I love Knitty City. I hear that the Lion Brand studio is wonderful. So I haven't been there myself, but I would say to hit that. And anyone else who has any recommendations for wonderful local yarn stores on the way up from Georgia to New York, reply to her in the thread, because I haven't been to a lot. I want to go to Chelsea Yarns, I hear is wonderful. Paige the Framer, I think, is in Point Pleasant. I've heard wonderful things. And again, I just haven't been to too many. So yeah, guys, help me out here. You know, you'll go on my Ravelry group and see Jana Zet, and she is asking for help for this road trip, guys. And I see some people have started replying, so I wish I could help you out further, but that is really all that I know. I'm sorry. I'm going to start doing a local yarn store tour. So I just went to Winterberry's, but I don't think that's on your route, because that's way out in West Jersey. You know, they're pretty spread out yarn stores. They are, you know, you're not going to be in one town and then there'll be another one in the town next to it. Usually, I would say most local yarn stores are about 40 minutes apart. If you're going to be up here in Montclair, there's Yarnia just opened, and that is in Montclair, New Jersey. And I just went there and I really, really liked it. So I would recommend that store. It's smaller, so if you're looking for a larger yarn store, I would say hit the ones in the city. Knitty City has something for everyone. It is spectacular. You could probably look around in that store for so long. It has, you know what I really love about it? It has a book section. It's like a library. They have a wall full of just all of these pattern books, and it's really just a wonderful store with everything that you need to enjoy knitting. So I hope that helped you, and guys, help her out, okay? Reply in my Ravelry thread. Thank you. So, Love Yarn 2. which I believe was Knittastic, and she changed her name. So she asks, are you planning on teaching your daughter to knit when she gets older? I would love that. I think one of the greatest things about knitting is the generational aspect of it. I mean, we all watch the Legacy Knits podcast. It's one of my favorite podcasts. You know, it's top 3. That, Voolenvine, Christy, those are the 3 that I go to every time there's an update. And what I really love about Legacy Knits is the fact that they are different generations and that a mother taught a daughter to knit. And I believe even Sue's mother was a knitter, and I'm pretty sure that Miss Lily P is going to have to be a knitter. So, yeah, if Franny is at all interested in it, I am right there. The other day she was sitting on my lap and she wanted to hold the needle, so I had her holding the needles as I was doing it, and then, you know, I was like, you did it, you did it! And she had this big smile on her face. So I would love her to do it because I find it relaxing, and I know that school and a lot of things for younger boys and girls nowadays, you know, life is very involved, very heavy. They have lots of activities and lots of homework, and I think it's things that we didn't really have when I was little. You know, we had some homework, but I hear they have like a lot of homework nowadays. And you know, sometimes kids need to walk away from that and just do something else with their mind, because as much as I am an advocate for academics, I really think creativity fosters a much more happier sense of self. So, you know, I really think that art and creativity are super important things for children to enjoy as young children. So, yeah, I mean, if it's not knitting, it's going to be something else. I have so much stuff in this attic. I have beads to make jewelry. I have colored pencils, and I have so much other stuff. So I just hope she'll find a medium that she enjoys. And if it's knitting, I will gladly teach her. And I will love it. But I'm pretty sure my mother will beat me to the punch and teach her first. So, and that's fine. She should be taught by her grandmother. So thank you for your question. Pale Pink Peonies on Ravelry asks, are you going to post 2017 Vlogmaka on your channel? Yes. I do still have the footage, and I'm going to rework it, and I should be re-releasing it in the next, probably after I get back from Edinburgh, because I just want to have it up on the channel. For me, those videos were my home videos for this year, and I had originally posted them to my last channel when I worked on the other podcast, so I'm going to put them on my channel and just rework them a little bit. So I will be doing that, and that should probably come after we get back from Edinburgh. So if there's any questions you have about anything that were in them, let me know. Someone did write me and ask me for the pizza dough recipe, and I gladly sent her the link. So if you have any questions about any of the recipes, let me know. I do have some more vlogs with some new recipes coming soon. So I probably won't be able to get this stuff up before Edinburgh just because I have a lot going on. A lot of stuff I'm trying to take care of before we leave. And then as soon as I can, that'll go up. Okay? So I'm glad you enjoyed them. They were a lot of fun to do, and I'm hoping to do it again next year. And just so you guys know, the Lost Holiday vlogs that are on my channel right now, that is not Vlogmaka. That is Christmas through New Year's. So it's totally new content, and if you guys want to see cute Franny, go and watch those. It's a blast. Okay, thank you for your question. Okay, we're going to the next page. Guys, you asked so many questions. I love it. Thank you. Gyden, G-Y-D-E-N, on Ravelry asks a non-knitting related question. What school, college, university did I go to? I mentioned that I was a media related major, and she just wanted to know more about that. I went to Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut, and I was a mass comm major. And when I went into school, it was Quinnipiac College, and it was a tiny little school. And that's one of the reasons that I went there, because I was not someone who I think could deal with a big school. I had wanted to go to Penn State, and I got into one of the satellite schools where you go, I think you go to there for a couple of years, and then you go to College Park your junior and senior year for mass comm related things. I'm not sure. I didn't even look into it really, but I had always wanted to go to Penn State, and when the time came to really go, I decided that I wanted a school that was a little bit smaller and a little bit closer to home. I'm very much so a homebody. I made myself go away to school to grow up in a sense. You know, I didn't want to stay here, and I just wanted something different. And I think that going away to college, again, was one of the greatest experiences of my life. I have wonderful friends. But yeah, it was Quinnipiac University. It's in Hamden, Connecticut. It's about 15 minutes north of Yale. So we used to go to Yale a lot. We used to go to New Haven a lot to hang out because it's just, New Haven's pretty cool. But yeah, I really loved going to school at Quinnipiac. It's very, very different now. It was really, really small. I was the photographer on the newspaper my freshman year, and we used to have to go to this rink in North Haven that was just disgusting. You know, this rink meaning ice hockey, because Quinnipiac is a big ice hockey school, and it's one of the reasons I picked it, because it had no football team, and my high school was very, very football oriented, and I was not into that. So I picked a college that had no football team. And there was a t-shirt that they used to sell in the school store that said undefeated since 1929 because we didn't have a team. So it was a joke, and everyone loved that shirt. Yeah. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. I was a mass communications major. I started out as a journalism major. It kind of changed to more video documentary production. So that's what I graduated with. But so Final Cut Pro and all of those nonlinear editing systems came out literally right before I graduated. So I had taken so many of my classes already for my major, and I learned how to edit with 2 VCRs and videotape. So I had to teach myself a lot of the nonlinear editing after college, and the equipment was really expensive. So I unfortunately did not follow my dream into the media field, but I did take a class on screenwriting, and I still have dreams of grandeur that I am going to write a screenplay that will win an Oscar. That is on my bucket list. It is not going to happen, but hey, a girl can dream. And I really do have a good idea for a movie, so I probably should get on that. Maybe you can push me a little. Thank you for your question. Peggy Jean Pearls, who I called Peggy Jean in the last episode, but her name is Megan. Hi, Megan. Sorry about that. I don't think it's insulting, though, to be called by your grandmother's name. So I assume that you were not insulted. But I will from now on call you Megan. Megan asks, would you ever dye yarn for fun? And what kinds of other crafts have I done? And would I show a non-knitting project that I have made that I have really liked? Okay, I don't really have those right here with me unprepared, so I will show something next time. So let's start with your first question. Would I ever dye yarn for fun? Totally. I would like to go to String Thing Studio this summer. They have a backyard. They're in Brooklyn, and they have, I believe you can dye your own yarn there. Don't quote me on that. I think you can. Or maybe they have classes on it. Again, I have to look into it, but I'm friends with Brittany from Machete Shop. I would love to dye yarn with her. I don't want to get addicted to something else, though. You know, I tend to get addicted to different crafts, and then I like to buy all the stuff that goes with that craft and then move on to something else. So I don't want to do that. So I would do it for fun, but that's it. Other kinds of crafts that I've done. When I was a little girl, my grandmother bought me a spinning wheel. You know, it was after my recital, I think when I was 7 or 8, I had this blue costume with fringe all over it. Oh my God, I love this costume. I used to wear it around the house all the time. And I remember that because there's a picture of me sitting in my kitchen when I'm about 7 or 8 years old. And you know how you always put makeup on for your dance recital? I had makeup on from the day before. And my grandmother bought me as my present for having a recital, because I got presents for everything. I had a wonderful grandmother. She got me a spinning wheel. It was a clay spinning wheel. I had no idea how to use it. It didn't even go that fast. But when I got to high school, I had a graphic arts / art professor, teacher named Miss Salka, and I loved her. We were just kindred spirits, and she did a whole thing on throwing pottery, and I love throwing pots. So that's something that I wish I could get back into. I really like that. I like glazing them. I like playing with pottery. For a while, I was a beadaholic. I bought every bead under the sun, and I made my own jewelry. So, I don't know. Does anyone watch Portlandia? Because they did this skit on, and it was called She's Making Jewelry Now, and it was a song about this girl's sister who like quit her job and went to start making jewelry. And I was watching this and I'm like, oh my god, that's me. So you know, everyone has dreams of grandeur. You buy all these beads, you're like, oh, I'll make 1 million necklaces and I'll make $1 million. But no, everyone makes jewelry. And I still love doing it, so I use it as more of a therapeutic method than an income method. But yeah, I have this big thing I'm looking at right now. Here, you want to see some? These are my green beads. Now I have them all sorted out by color. So these are my green beads. Like, guys, like, these are all my beads. Like, it's insane, okay? And I have really, really good stuff. I mean, oh, I love these lampwork beads and jade. I have jade. I have, what are these? These are pretty. Yep, jade. Canadian jade. Jade. I have a lot of jade. Guys, like, this is insane. Okay? Can you see all this? Now, mind you, this is just the green. Okay? Maybe one day I'll show you guys all of my beads because I'd really like to start using them again. I was thinking about making stitch markers, and I was going to ask maybe Shamika if she wanted to do something with me because she makes incredible stitch markers and I need to get back into it. And I've got, obviously, Shamika, I've got the supplies. So, like, come on over. So, yeah. So that's basically my other craft. I've always been into yarn. I do a little bit of crochet. I don't love crochet. I sew. I have a lot of fabric. I would say I buy fabric more than I sew. But there's a place in Westfield, New Jersey called Urban Society. And I took a class there and I really liked it. So I do want to take some more classes because I'd really like to learn how to make project bags. I just want to make my own. I don't know that I would sell them, but like I just want to learn how to sew like a skirt or a dress like Voulenvine does. My grandmother used to make us the most gorgeous, you know, Halloween costumes, and we would go have fittings and all that stuff. So I really want to do that for Franny. I hemmed something for her this year. She was Ruth Bader Ginsburg for Halloween, and I hemmed her outfit because it was too long. So that's it. I don't really have too many other crafts, but I make wedding invitations for my friends. I guess that's considered a craft. And so, yeah, I'll show some of that stuff next time. Someone just remind me. Okay? Thank you for your question, Megan. And I think that's it. Yeah, guys, that's it. That was a good mailroom. Thank you for your questions. Keep them coming. I'll only do these companion videos if I have questions. If I only have 1 or 2 questions, maybe I'll throw it into the end of, you know, the podcast every week or every 2 weeks. But I just really appreciate you guys interacting with me, and I've received a lot of emails and stuff, and thank you so much. I'm having a great time meeting all of you, and there are so many people who have said that they want to meet me at EYF, and please make sure that you meet me. I'm not going to remember. So come up to me and interrupt me, and I want to meet all of you. So we'll talk more about EYF next time. Again, thank you for all of your questions, and anyone who wants to leave me questions, it's the Gemma Darling Daily Podcast Ravelry group on Ravelry, and just ask away. Thanks again, guys. Have a good week. Bye.